Hey family, it's your girl Olivia, and welcome back to another episode of Melanin Chat podcast. And today we have a very special guest, and I'm so excited that she's here with us. She's my Jamaican sister. Normally, I would have somebody on the show who's not from Jamaica because we live in a diverse society here in St. John. But today, I will be talking to our special guest, Juliana. Juliana is here. She's coming all the way from Westmoreland, Jamaica, right?
Yes.
It's really nice to have you on our show.
It's good to be here. You have been trying to get me on this chair
Yes,
for a while, right?
yes, and
So,
I'm happy that
yes.
you decided to join today. And I'm sure our listener will 100% benefit because on this episode, as you all know, Juliana and myself, we came here last year, July.
No, 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. So
Time is going by
July
so
is,
quickly.
yeah.
So July 2023, right?
I came here to May. You came here to
She's keeping record. I don't. To me, it feels like I've been here for years, but
July.
it's not even 2 years. And I am happy that we decided to make the journey together. Julie and I don't recall like knowing her personally, but I've seen her on the university campus at NCU before, but we weren't friends. But know that we are working in the same company. We're the only Jamaicans, not technical, probably about two other Jamaicans working in the company that we work
Uh,
at.
So one is on, one is off. So technically,
Yes.
it's three of us now.
Yes, so where we're living right now, the Jamaican community is very small. We are one of the minority when it comes to the black community. Like we don't dominate the space, but we have Julian and myself representing our country, and I think we're doing it well.
Well, some will disagree with you that we're small. It's just that here, like Jamaican is loud and proud. Here is a bit different. We have to team that loud and proudness.
Mm.
So we do not really dominate the space, but we're making stride because I've seen where fellow Jamaicans have actually been, especially on Moon University, which is one of the largest university on the province or in the North Atlantic. So I've seen persons really um,
Keeping
dominating
our
the space. So
yes, keeping our
yes,
Jamaican flag high and
we're doing our thing on the island.
yes. So I want to talk to our listeners and also to you about why we decided to leave Jamaica and to come to this small area in terms of it's a small city. It's not the popular area like Toronto and all those places. So I want to share with them my story and also yours because I think it's unique because we came to St. John into a job. We didn't go to school here.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know that and they assume we're students.
Yep.
But I left my medical social worker job with the Ministry of Health in Jamaica. And for me, I just like, I wanted a change.
Mhm.
As a single woman, like, I didn't have nothing to really hold me back. I feel like I needed a new environment. And I've been trying to migrate. I tried the UK and also Canada. And I must say, I am happy I decided to come to Canada. So,
Well, for me, it was like the total opposite because I Canada has always eluded me
hmm
in terms of I've tried for a student permit up to maybe 2016 or so, didn't get it, but then I just erased it off my list, and I actually I was in China.
China, okay.
And I have a friend who was doing school in Corner Brook.
Mm.
So that's another rural province in Newfoundland. And so when I told her I'm going home, she's like, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Listen, even if I have to plant, because I have a big backyard,
Okay.
I am not afraid of hard work. So I'm just going home, and I think purpose have been served." And she said, "Why not try and get a student permit to come here?" I said, "Nah. If I'm going to Canada, any at all, it has to be work."
Yes,
And I
that was
put that out
mine.
in the universe, and I didn't know that it would be a story to tell because she said, "I'm going to talk to somebody that I know. because it was just after COVID. And so the government at the time had given the okay for some companies who were short staffed to employ persons outside of Canada. And I didn't know that at the time,
Yes.
but then she introduced that to me. And it took a while for me to get the contact
Yeah.
because she kept going to the person, and it was either, oh, the person didn't show up at work, she didn't get the email address, and so on. And it was different,
Stories.
yeah, different. It wasn't an excuse. It was just not aligning.
Yeah.
And one day I said to her, don't go back to the person as yet.
Hmm.
I'm going to pray about it.
Yes. Okay.
And I said to her, I'll tell you when to approach the person again.
Hmm.
And can you believe after I prayed, I just let it go.
Yeah.
And one day she just said to me, the person just walked up to me and gave me a contact.
Wow. Funny enough, the same person that gave that particular person a contact, they also gave one of my friends.
And I learned that later on. It's so funny because I learned that later on. That's how you came here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said, we didn't know each other in Jamaica.
Yes.
But when I heard about you, the first thing the person said to me was that you went to NCU as well. And when she told me of the year, I said, oh, then I was there. But listen, I went to university at a very mature age. So I was all about the book and
Yeah.
nothing much. So I didn't really have a whole lot of friends per se.
Mm-hmm.
Any connection I made there had to do with either study group or going out on some
Yeah.
school excursion or something.
I recall seeing you on campus, but
Yes,
I think you're probably a 1 year ahead of me or two, I'm
right.
not sure,
So
but I do recall. But when she gave my friend that contact, she gave her like an advertisement saying that the company is hiring from outside of Canada, and she just knew that I'm passionate about migrating to work, and she sent that email to me, and we both apply for the job.
yeah,
And after a few weeks or a month, I got an email link for interview. I was like, wow, I was so shocked. I was like, is this for real? Because when I apply, I wasn't really thinking that, they're going to reach out. Even though I know my resume is looking
yeah. It
good.
wasn't for lack of qualification,
Mm-hmm.
but you know how these things are,
Yes.
especially when the dragnet is so wide.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You don't know they're getting persons
From
from
all
different,
over the
right,
world. So,
and so when I got the contact, I just sent in the listen, before I sent in the application, I kind of Googled a little bit. And I had always worked with children.
mm-hmm.
So from my um, pre-trained teacher years to my social work years, I've always worked with youth or children. And so I wanted to come out of that.
Yeah.
And so our company had a child company, let's say a child company that actually does special need and adult care. So that's the company that I originally made my application to.
Yeah.
However, when I left China and
Yeah.
I got to Jamaica probably in the beginning of July of 2022,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah, 2022. And I was at I was at home. And I said, let me check my email. And I checked my email. I got an email, and the person stated that, hey, I don't know how your application got in my inbox,
Look at God.
but,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen that you apply with one of our parent company.
Mm-hmm.
But based on your qualification, I think we have an ideal position for you.
Yes.
And so if you're interested, I would love to interview you for that position. So I answered the email and said yes. And the person sent me a link and the time and if I would be available if I have a challenge to reach out. So I reached out and said, that's fine. That same day, my sister was going out and nobody was at home. So
Oh,
nobody
God.
knew that I even did the interview because I did the interview hesitantly and without much expectation because, again, they were recruiting from all over the
That's
world.
the thing. Because when I went on it, I think it was like 200 people thereabout, and like probably two from, I didn't know about you, but like two from Jamaica. It was me and another lady that I know. And when the 200 per like cut down that like 25, and I was the only person from Jamaica at the time in that batch, and I was like 25 from 200, and they were telling us, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like, I have to nail this interview. Can you believe it? That the day when I had the interview, the current in my house decided to just leave.
Oh,
No
Lord.
Wi-Fi, no light, and normally I never know in Montego Bay we don't lose power.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is happening? And then it happened that I had like data on my phone. So what happened? The current came back, but no internet. So I had to go to this stranger house to get the Wi-Fi and to like do the interview, and I have to remain calm, and
Yeah.
yeah, and the interview went well. But what I want to ask you though, Julian, I want to talk about the immigration process.
All right. So
Before you start talking about immigration process, I must commend Juliana. Guys, guys, I am a person like this. When it comes on to immigration process, I don't like the headache. I will pay somebody to do it. And I did pay a firm, he has like an immigration firm to do all the documentation for me. And I did pay a good amount of money. They did everything from me relating to from the start. They just said to me, "Oh, get this document, get that document," and they did everything for me. Julian, on the other hand, Julian is saying they're not getting my money. So she went ahead and read and research and did the process herself, and both of us got through the same time. So,
disclaimer: I am no expert on the subject, but because I'm very frugal. So after the interview,
mhm,
I was offered the job immediately.
mhm,
The recruiter said to me, "Listen, but this is what the process entails," and he told me about it. But I cannot help you with it.
yeah,
That was his end statement.
mhm,
Said the only thing we're going to do, we're going to send you two pieces of document, and he told me the contract and a confirmation letter that I need to submit when I'm doing the process.
yeah,
So after he said that, he said, and you know that this work, this position comes with your permanent residency. So I said, I wasn't even, honestly, I wasn't even thinking about that. I wasn't even, I didn't even know where my headspace was. All I know, I was going with the flow, and maybe what you call it, like PTSD came back. I started to think about the time I failed when I did the student
yeah,
permit. I started to think how
doubt,
many times I've approached something and I've not gotten through.
yeah,
And because I was approaching it from that, it's like it was so surreal because I was wondering if I really got the offer.
all right,
And when he sent me the confirmation letter, I was like, hey, this is for real.
yeah,
And so transiting to the immigration process now. So I contacted an immigration lawyer who was located in Mandeville, and he said, I don't do that. But I remember the recruiter saying to me, you know that you can do the process by yourself. It's just that I cannot help you with it. And I
yeah,
said, if I can do the process by myself, once the immigration lawyer said to me that they don't do that type,
hmm
if I wanted, he could give me another contact. I said to I said to him that you know what, that's fine. So I went online and I started reading.
Oh God,
It took me a whole month to read.
ooh,
Lo and behold, I started submitting my PR documents
before you
before
work.
my work.
So why didn't touch it? She started submit her PR before getting our nomination
Yeah.
letter, work permit. Oh God. Okay.
So 2 weeks of getting the documents for my PR. So
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead.
so 2 weeks into that, I said to myself, but shouldn't I be applying for the work permit first?
Exactly. Exactly. Because you, what stream did you use? The same as mine.
Yeah, the PNP.
Okay.
So we went through the provincial nominee process.
Exactly. Which is, I think I remember quite well. You apply for the nomination
Hmm.
after, because I received my nomination, and then after the nomination, then you apply for your work permit.
Listen, I was going left.
You were going from top to bottom.
Yes, I started the PR
No,
process. And it just dawned on me
That is the strangest thing.
that I didn't do a work permit. But by then
I'm not
I
laughing, but
got a link with the PNP nomination. So I had completed that part of it.
yeah,
So that was easy for me. So I completed the PNP, and the gentleman said, "Yes, you are nominated, blah, blah, blah. This is what
yeah,
I'm going to send you." So they sent me the document, and I started the PR process.
yeah.
And then I said, "No, man,
So
something is
wait, so
off."
you started your PR process outside of Canada.
Yes.
I want to make that clear to a lot of persons because a few persons arguing with me that that is impossible, not knowing that you can,
No, I did the entire process and paid for it outside of Canada. So
including the PR.
yes.
Okay.
So when I said no, so I stopped. And then I went on the link with
Mhm.
the work permit,
Yeah.
and then I started to do. But quite not so ironic. The same document that you need for the work permit are those same documents you use for the
Yeah.
PR as well. So what I did, I was able to transfer
Those same documents.
those same documents
Yeah.
along with a few additional that they asked for.
I believe the hardest documents is the nomination, the things to get for the
Hmm.
nomination. But as long as you have a nomination letter and that offer
Hmm.
letter and everything is just like a repeat of documents.
And because I had a book at the time, and I lost that book since I came here. That
Mhm.
book came with me from China. Because when I was doing my work permit for China, because I did my work permit for
By
China too.
yourself.
Yes. So I did my work permit for China.
Okay.
I went to get my degree authenticated and everything
Yeah.
by myself, doing all going to the Chinese embassy for the first time and doing all that process. Then going to China. So I had that book that I was had a lot of information in. And so I was just adding more information.
Okay.
Yes. And so after I did the work permit, I continue
Yeah.
to do the PR. The work permit had not been approved as yet,
Okay.
but I continue with the PR.
Girl, I don't even know if you're
Listen,
right, if you're wrong.
it was fail forward for me.
Yes, but
It was
how?
fail
So there's
forward.
nothing to stop you while you're online trying to do your PR before your work
Yes,
permit?
because one at the time I had a second thought because the 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 application fee for the PR was 1,000 something
200, yeah.
Canadian dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was paying in Jamaican dollars. That um
Probably like 130.
would be what you call it,
130,000?
the
What?
currency. They would
Okay.
you have to I transfer it in Jamaican dollars, which would go in Canadian currency.
Okay.
So it's a lot more because I
Mm-hmm.
am not I am selling
Yeah.
in a sense. I'm
Yeah.
not
Do
buying.
that.
And so when I got there and I read it, it's the at the bottom it
Mm-hmm.
stated that if you are not approved, you would only get back half of the money.
Ha! So you're there trying to save money, right? And you are going to get like half just in case you made a mistake. Like, okay.
Half of the money, and that kind of helped me to pause a bit.
You know,
So I
Julian doesn't want to lose more
yes, listen,
money.
I just paused from a bit, and
Okay.
then I just process it. Well, I'm going to lose about 500 and something Canadian dollars. I think I can work with that.
You.
That was just it because,
Yeah.
as I said, it was a fail forward experience for me, and I just wanted to try something, and I gave it my all, and I would have been satisfied if I gave it my all and it didn't work out because at least I went all the way.
Yeah.
That was me because again for me I had so many experiences where either somebody cut the journey short for me
Yeah.
or I out of self-doubt
Yeah.
I cut it short for myself and I said if somebody believed in me enough after an interview
Yeah.
to offer me a position, the least I can do
Yes, you
is
believe in
to just
yourself and go through it.
go through the
So
process.
all of that time, I was just there chilling because the immigration lawyers and whoever was just
Was
doing
doing it
my
for
case, so
you.
I wasn't really thinking. I was the one that hold it up because they were asking me for some document like employment of certification of employment for like
Mm.
10 years ago, and I was working in the U.S. In those those companies don't have me and record anymore. It's so long time ago 'cause I was in college. It was just something.
And you know, when I did it for myself, I don't know if when you click the link that you are doing it for yourself, the document changes. But I wasn't asked for that.
That's what I'm saying.
All they asked me, they gave me like some forms, five, four, five. Each form had a number
Oh
attached to it.
God, it was a lot. I needed bank statement over $5,000. I needed the certificate of employment. I needed um recommendation.
Yeah.
So many things.
I needed a few of that, but the employment,
But
all I
it
had to do,
police record.
they had a form that I should fill out without any gap, the years of work experience that I had.
Okay.
So anything that had a little gap,
You
listen,
have
you
to fill
couldn't
out
even miss
everything.
a day.
Nothing.
So I remember I was working in St. Anne as an academic social worker.
Mhm.
And between that transition and going back to Montego Bay, I had a gap there.
Mhm.
And I didn't put it on the paper. So when
Yeah.
I submitted the first form, it wasn't on it. So I didn't cater for that gap because I was like, okay, I finished the employment here.
Mhm.
I was at home
Mhm.
and then I was making the transition. Lo and behold, they sent back an email that they needed me to fill in that gap, tell them where I
Everything.
was, what I was
You know
doing.
what's blow my mind with the document? When they're going to say that if I travel more than like a particular amount of time outside of my country to the US, I need a police record from the US. And I'm living in Jamaica.
Mm.
So they calculate all the time that I travel, whether vacation for 2 weeks, whether whatever. As long as it passes a certain amount of time, I have to get a police record from that country.
Well, I had to get a police record from China. But the good thing about it, when you're leaving China, depending on which company you work with,
Mm-hmm.
they would tell you some of the exit document that you need. So, for
Mm.
example, you need a recommendation from the company that you are working with. You also need a tax.
Okay,
You
good.
need a printout of your tax submission while
Okay.
you were in China, and you also need a police record that was in Chinese and translated to English.
Mm.
So I had taken those documents with me.
That's good.
So when they requested the document, I was able to upload without anything. You know what they even asked me for? When I was denied the student permit,
Mm-hmm.
they sent me a letter
Mm.
and they asked for that letter.
Wow.
And can you believe I had that letter?
Look at you. Listen to me. One thing about the immigration process, you better have every single document. There's no going around. There's
Yeah,
no
I
jumping
right.
over. You have to everything. So
I
I
didn't.
had to figure out a way to get and I got my police record. That is not probably the hardest thing I've done related to the process because that the immigration officer had nothing to do with that. I have to do to
Yes.
figure the way to get the record from the US, and I did. So we both got our PR, right? And we can share that. After, so I submitted my PR in August. I received my AOR, I think that's the name of it, in November,
Mm-hmm.
and I got my PR in January,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, late
And
January.
co
And you got
co-PR.
yes, I actually got my PR in my hand, I think early the first week of February,
Mm-hmm.
and you got yours probably like the March.
Mm-hmm.
That,
And you know why mine was delayed? I uploaded a picture
oh God, that picture was something
and it was not
clear enough
according
or
to
something.
according to their measurement.
Hmm.
I didn't know that they had rejected the picture.
Okay.
So it was on the thing and I kept checking but it was not showing up. So when you told me that you got yours, I said no, I should have gotten mine already because I had gotten the e-form of it.
Yes,
So I should have gotten mine.
the court
But
process.
then I went back and I sent an email because let me tell you this, guys, you cannot email the IRCC unless they ask you to,
Mm.
or unless they have been communicating with you about
Yeah.
something and you make,
Follow up.
yes, because if you send them an email outside of that, they will block you.
Mm.
And then now you'd have to go get an immigration lawyer to open a case.
I didn't know that. That
Yeah, so
well,
once they send you,
I'm not
once they make
emailing.
contact with you, you'll see the disclaimer in the bottom of it telling you that outside of what they asked for, you should not upload a different document.
Okay.
Just what they asked for, you should not contact them unless you are contacted. So I took a risk
Mm-hmm.
and I emailed the person who was emailing me to tell them that hey, I'm not seeing anything on the page that whatever and she sent me say, oh, the picture was rejected, and they sent me back
That would
uh,
be on your account. That would be on
right,
your account.
but it was just not showing.
Mm.
So if I had an immigration lawyer, those are the things that your immigration lawyer
Would
would
know.
know. So I took a risk. You
Because
understand?
the same thing happened to me. They were like, I
I
was
really took a risk.
I was lazy. So I asked my friend to take a passport size picture from me in my house on my iPhone,
Mm.
and they rejected they rejected it. So I had to go to Staples and get the
Yeah,
correct one.
that's what I did. I took a well, I had a picture that
Hmm.
I took from Jamaica, and then I scanned it. But no matter how I scanned it,
It's
it
not.
just
You
came.
have to get the
Yeah,
right
it came up
resolution.
very
Everything.
blurry. So I went to Staples, and they did one, and it still something was off
Yeah,
with it. I went to Walmart,
you would try again.
and when I went to Walmart and I showed them the specification, they said,
Yeah,
"Oh, I know what you wanted for," and
exactly.
they did it, and I uploaded it, and
You got your
I
PR.
got the card. And so I got the card while I was here, but then we got the work permit, and I had to take my passport into Montego Bay as well to have it stamped
Yeah,
and so forth. Then so the process of what you call it, transitioning
it wasn't.
to here. You see, for me, it's not. You see, I always see, I have always said to you that we're like opposite.
Yeah,
We're definitely
definitely.
opposite because there are things that you would find quite easy
Hmm.
and you're excited about, and for me, I am very skeptical, and I'm like I'm taking this step, but what well, I'm an overthinker. So
Hmm.
I would start to think that
I
what's the
only.
next step? What is
Hmm.
going to happen? Then hmm. So when I got through with everything now, and I reached out back to the recruiter, there
I
was
don't.
a bounce back.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that part. I think I have an idea about that part.
Yeah. So,
However, what I want to talk to you about is the fact that so you're now in Canada,
hmm
right? And for me, I couldn't start my job because I needed a few documents.
oh,
So remember, when I left Jamaica, I just know that I'm coming to Canada
yes.
to get a place to rent. It was my one of the greatest challenge for me because I remember being in Lucy in my office, emailing people and Kijiji, Facebook
Oh my
Marketplace,
God.
trying to get somewhere to rent because here I have my visa in hand, but I cannot take the plane without an apartment
hmm
waiting for me. And I recall emailing, messaging, and I was successful with one guy, this man, I won't mention the country that he's from, and I did an interview with him for the place. And I got the place. I remember pulling my little suitcase to this area. When I went and knocked the door, nobody was there. Anyway, they worked something out for me to get inside, and I can tell you that my journey, it was not easy. And then I talk about like probably another episode to get into what I went through with that apartment.
All right. So probably we can
So,
save it for another episode where I will tell you about my moving 8 times in 1 week because I could not get anywhere, and I decided that
and
not
that
going to
is what I
delay.
was afraid of. I didn't want to be coming to Airbnb. Then no, I want to know that when I land, I have an apartment there that I paid for the month or the 1 month lease or whatever the case may be. But listen to me, that story is for another time.
Yeah,
Just
because
imagine getting a knock on your door saying they have 5 days to leave.
listen, I was reaching out to
So,
persons, and they would contact me, and after the initial speaking to the person, it would just go to naught
yeah,
because I was out of the country too.
yeah,
So I had to be
that's
using
a disadvantage.
I had to be using international means, and person was skeptical. Listen, you don't know racism until you get here. And that's a different topic, but I know it's off topic. But you see, when we're in Jamaica, the things that we take for granted, that we accept each other.
Hmm.
And if I see you and you have your money, you pay for our service and we're good. Here, they have to have a vibe with you. They have to feel that they want you in their space. And so I was doing a lot of interviews for appointment, and I was not getting any. And I say, I'm not delaying this thing. I just went and bought my ticket. And
Really?
yes, I bought my ticket, and then I had a friend who lived in Saskatchewan. I contacted him. He's a Canadian, and I told him of my dilemma. And he said, "Listen, when you get to Newfoundland, just call me, and I will make sure that you have a place even to stay for 2 days." So what I did, I booked a motel from Jamaica.
Note, guys, don't come to this
Yeah, I wouldn't
country
listen.
without having a apartment that you already paid for, or not necessarily paid, but at least have a lease sign. Don't come here open on hopes and dreams that you're going to get an apartment to rent, or because the market here related to renting, it's not easy. I was surprised to meet somebody this week who said they're living in their car. And I was like, what?
I wouldn't tell a person to do what I have done. I was just moving on. Just I've always been a person who calculate their step.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, listen, that has not gotten me anywhere. So remove the calculator. Let me just do